I'm knocking at your door, knocking at your door. Because I'm knocking at your door. Because open up the door. Long as I got money, I got you. Hey, I owe you. Vows were true. Loving when you. Roses are red, violet are blue. Baby, show your cocoa set. Make I show you. I'm knocking at your door, knocking at your door. Because I'm knocking at your door. Because open up the door. Long as I got money, I got you. Let them know I wanna give you love, I wanna show you off, I wanna. If them boys, them no go give you joy, them today make it noise, them today. One day go come where you go be my wife. Today I done ready to lay my life. Oh, material girl, lucky go day alright. Turn me up, turn me on, turn me round, turn me on. I'm knocking your door, we go open your door. Can you let me in your wall?
Yes, I can hear you, Sean. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, perfect. Do you need me to turn on my Yes, do you need me to turn on my camera so it like you can see me properly? Okay. Perfect, I can see it. Thank you. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Slowly at the top. Money on my mind. Don't care what they yarning about me in particular. Out here on the road chasing my dream because I know I'm chasing for me. Ololola de mango molo. Orokoto idisho molo. If you want to let Jack come alone, no define anybody, na money I want. No they hear what people they talk. To get a shakeleti love. This is love when I wanna get another one. I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love. I go do what we done my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Ginger. But when I know the waste time. Mr. Money Ginger. Just carry on, there be no time. Bad boy day, me I dey fine. And at the same time, me I dey high. Motrotomo stand out, calm down, you go dey fine. Like fine wine, no decline. Sick about it, extraordinary things. Show me love, I go show you more. Bo shenshe, ọmọ yìí don teja, ṣerékélé mú fọ́ fàyè, ti fọ́ fàyè. Ọlọ́ládé máa ń gbọ́mọ lọ, kọ̀rọ̀kọ̀tọ̀ ìdí ṣọ́mọ lọ. Ẹ fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ jẹ́ kó máa lọ, no dey find anybody na money I want. No dey hear wetin people dey talk. Wọ́n ti gbé àṣàkẹ́ létí lọ. This is love and I wanna get another one. I go take and do wetin I love, wetin you love, oh. Baby, wetin I love, oh. Wetin I love, I go do what we done my heart, oh. Ogogoro no be vodka. Mr. Money Ginger. But when I know the waste time. Mr. Money Ginger.
Hello, can you hear me, Sean? Yes. Okay, perfect. Just hello?
Low-key, all of them
they notice. I'm not joking. All my guys, them
Okay.
know me. Since oh,
Yes, when I'm sending my greeting, do I need to say anything more or just wave and say hello?
but if you ask them know me. I know they blow
Yeah, okay.
only lonely me lonely.
All right.
Music chose me, just know this and
Perfect.
know peace.
Thanks.
Low key, but I'm never lonely. Sexy ladies, come wine for me slowly. I'm never weak, I never cease. Till eternity, I'm on fire. My legacy will not die. My family is for life. But them day, would them be? Them go crazy, them go die. Them go say, them don't know. It's in this song. Low key, all of them done they notice. I'm not joking, all my guys, them know me. Since '06, I've been writing this story. I know be OG, but if you ask them know me.
Kill beats, let's go. Let's go.
I'm at a point in life, if you understand me or not, misunderstand me or not, me, I'm okay. I'm okay. And if you think I'm wrong or not, I be like Terminator. I deliver. I pass it doctor. I be like Terminator. I deliver. I pass it doctor. I only care for money. I never care for perfect. As long as I'm happy. See me, I know for sure they know me. They know me. Young boy, but I know G. 6 years, no be small thing. And since I entered the game, fatality. Yeah. The troubled days, sleepless nights, things I see inside life. I the kite, Charlie, the things I see. No, they live to impress nobody. They doubt my thing, them forget. So only me. Oh no. Oh no. 'Cause who are you to judge me like say you be holy past? I didn't love my life, get my peace of mind. I did try survive. We all be sinners, my party, nobody holy bad. And my happiness comes first. I never come life to stress, yeah. I be like Terminator. I did deliver. I pass it doctor.
ixesha lisondele uxanduva lolwenu phakamani bantwana besizwe simnyama aye kujongwe kuni emakhaya bajonge kuni nilidiwe phakamani
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 5th ANIT Award ceremony. And the vibes are vibing, and I could feel the energy. I'm excited. I hope everyone else is too. To those of you joining us in person and in this beautiful venue on an absolutely stunning spring evening in Cape Town, welcome. It's really great to see some familiar faces, and we are very excited to see some new faces in the room, and we are very excited to share the Mandela Rhodes Foundation magic with all of you tonight. Woohoo! Of course, we also have some guests and viewers joining us virtually, so I want to say thank you to them. But I want to make a special mention of Farmer Jallo, who is one of our finalists and unfortunately could not be here in person tonight, but everybody give Farmer a wave. We wish you were here, but we're very glad to see you on the screen. For those who don't know me, I am Crystal Duncan Williams, and I have the honor and privilege of being the Chief Executive Assistant at the Mandela Rhodes Foundation and working closely with the CEO, Judy Sekuza, in our office. I'm also a very proud Mandela Rhodes alum from the class of 2014. Whoop, whoop! So just a little bit of background, especially for the new faces in the room tonight. The ANIT Prize, as I said, now in its 5th year, is a funding opportunity for Mandela Rhodes and Rhodes alumni who want to make a positive social impact on the African continent, particularly amongst its most marginalized populations. Each year, $80,000 was awarded, but this year, through the additional funding from the David and Mira Riemer Foundation, we have up to $100,000. Woohoo! More money! For between 1 and 4 ventures that are impactful, scalable, sustainable, and run by people we know are capable to succeed. This year, we expanded the scope also to recognize alumni who are driving innovative, impactful work within existing organizations, whether those be non-profit, for-profit, or hybrid ventures. We believe meaningful transformation can happen at any level, and this evolution of the prize reflects our commitment to celebrating African innovation wherever it is found. The ventures must align with one of the 10 UN's SDGs for Africa, which range from agriculture to energy, access to climate change, to financial services, but I'm sure I don't need to tell those in the room that. We are interested in ventures at all stages: ideation, early stage, established, or mature. Many ventures have brilliant ideas with great potential for impact, but lack the seed capital needed to get off the ground. And this is why initiatives like the ARNet Prize matter so deeply for Africa. They help reduce inequality, drive sustainable economic growth, expand access to healthcare and education, uplift young people, and provide pathways out of poverty. We really hope you enjoy this evening with us and leave tonight feeling inspired toward greater innovation and social impact, whatever field you may be working in. So to add a little context tonight, we're gonna play 2 short videos of the past ARNet winners and show their projects and progress to date. The 2 videos featured are from the 2021 ARNet winner, Asetu Tlenga, for a venture Rewoven. Feel free. And the other video we're going to show is from Dr. Jessica Ronison for her venture Do More. Please turn to the screen.
I am Asetu Tlenga. I am one of the co-founders and CEO of Rewoven. We collect textile waste primarily from garment manufacturers. Once it's sorted and separated, we then bale it and then we sell it to a network of fiber producers in South Africa and globally to ensure that the textile waste is recycled. I always had an incongruence between being someone who consumes fashion but also knowing some of the impacts that it had, and I felt a deep desire to try figure out a solution, and so it really kind of started from there. Besides the financial assistance that we got from the ARNet Prize, which obviously helped us scale our business and operational team, it also gave us a lot of exposure that legitimized us a lot in terms of the eyes of big retailers and big manufacturers. What really affects me now is the fact that Africa is not really a big consumer of fast fashion, but we're like the dumping ground for the global fashion industry, particularly in West Africa. Ghana is sitting at 15 million items a week that's entering Ghana. It's a really big issue that no one is talking about. To have the validation of the ARNet Prize meant that our business model could be taken more seriously by other people as well, other funders, other potential clients. And I think for us it was just like really confirming that we have something solid.
You see the lack of grass, you see the lack of infrastructure, lack of services, and yet learning is happening here. In this space, children are thriving. Young children need many things to thrive. One of those things is good, adequate nutrition, as well as responsive caregiving, stimulating play, and a safe environment. We know that that is not realistic for many of the children that are living in underprivileged communities. So the ARNet Prize came at a time when we had just completed our 2-year pilot of Eat, Love, Play, Talk, the parent education program, where we take nutrition education and embed it into ECD centres. We tackle breastfeeding, nutrition education, complementary feeding, affordable proteins, food gardens, carbohydrates, fats, all these kind of complex nutrition concepts in a fun and playful way. Over a 7-month period, we also use growth monitoring tools like height charts and the Road to Health book as accessible resources for parents to advocate and play a part in monitoring their children's growth.
The reason why I implement the nutrition menu is for parents to learn how to give children healthy food or healthy snacks. Because on healthy snacks, parents are very lost. They don't understand children must have healthy snacks.
Nutrients help grow the baby, the children. It is good to prevent chronic diseases such as diabetes. It is good for their cognitive growth as a whole.
It's important for me because my baby won't get sick and my baby will always be healthy and will always have a joyful child around the house.
And being here today is a beautiful reminder that investing in the teacher and the parents is where the magic's happening. And now we have partners and corporates coming on board, investing in the collective of the work we're doing, and that's taken a number of years to roll out, so the Honored Prize was part of that journey.
Wow, I'm sure we all have goosebumps now, and I think it's so incredible to see social impact in action, but also the breadth of the work, right? The 10 SDGs are varied. And if we look at the winners of the Honored Prize over the last 5 years, we can see they're really touching on different areas, but all equally important. Next up, we have a really great discussion coming up, and I'm going to introduce everybody before asking them up on stage. So our MRF CEO, Judy Sikuza, will be moderating the panel discussion with two remarkable visionary change makers who we are privileged to have with us this evening. So, firstly, I am very excited to hear this conversation and to feel the magic from the stage, so I hope you all will join me in that enthusiasm. I'm going to start by reading Judy's bio. Judy is a mom, Mount Kilimanjaro summiteer, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Mandela Rhodes Foundation, which is a Nelson Mandela legacy organization dedicated to building exceptional leadership capacity in Africa. Prior to joining the Mandela Rhodes Foundation in 2014, Judy previously worked in the banking sector for ABSA and Investec as an organization development consultant, focusing on strategy, leadership development, change management, organizational culture, team building, and executive coaching. Judy is a non-executive board director of Oxford University Press South Africa and chairs the board's Transformation and Ethics Committee. She is also a member of the 2030 Reading Panel, which is convened by former Executive Director of UN Women, Dr. Phumzile Mhlaba-Nkuke. Some of Judy's achievements and recognitions include being an A. Bailey Fellow to the UK, a Mandela Rhodes Scholar, Fulbright Scholar, Mail and Guardian's Top 200 Young South Africans, Archbishop Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellow, Sari Magazine's Top 10 Women Under 30, and has received special alumni awards from both her high school and university for outstanding all-round achievements in her career. Judy is a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader Class of 2014. She has a master's degree in organizational psychology from Columbia University in New York City and is a certified coach through the Center for Coaching at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business. And I must say, I cut things out. So, Judy is amazing. Woohoo! Second up, we have Dr. Sangu Dele. Sangu is a Ghanaian-born entrepreneur and has been on the Honored Prize judging panel since its inception in 2021. He's the chairman and CEO of CarePoint, a tech-forward healthcare group focused on building Africa's healthcare future. He is also the founder and executive chairman of Golden Palm Investments Corporation, one of Africa's leading venture capital firms. Sangu has been a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader, a 2022 Eisenhower Fellow, Africa's Young Person of the Year, a 2013 Soros Fellow, a 2014 TED Global Fellow, and one of Forbes' top 30 most promising entrepreneurs in Africa, as well as Euromoney's Africa's Rising Stars. And in December 2024, he was elected chair of the Ashesi University Board of Directors. With qualifications from Harvard, Oxford, and Birmingham University, Sangu is also a mental health activist. We welcome you, Sangu. Lastly, joining our panel, but certainly not least, Dr. Shanaz Suleiman. South African-born Dr. Shanaz is the CEO of Recode Therapeutics, a leading genetic medicines company focused on powering the next wave of genetic medicines through tissue-specific lipid nanoparticle delivery. I can only say that fast because I was a scientist. Once upon a time. Shanaz is a physician, drug developer, company builder, and has played a leading role for over 25 years in transforming high-growth companies through advancing clinical pipelines and executing partnerships and acquisitions at Elector, Theravance, Genentech, Roche, and Gilead. She has been honored by Forbes, Fierce Biotech, Silicon Valley Biz Journal, and SF Business Times as a nationally female business leader and an advocate for healthcare equity and access. She received an MD at the University of Cape Town's Medical School, holds an MBA with distinction, and an MPhil degrees from Oxford University, where she was a Rhodes Scholar. Shanav serves on the Ultragenyx Pharmaceutical and 10X Genomic boards. She is forging paths for underrepresented individuals with a boardroom-ready program and is a mentor to dozens of rising stars. Welcome, Shanaz. Please join me on the stage.
Phakamani bantwana besizwe simnyama, ixesha lisondele, uxanduva lolwenu. Phakamani bantwana besizwe simnyama, kujongwe kuni, emakhaya bajonge kuni nilidiwe. Phakamani,
I did not brief them on this, but I understood that the African in you would be within the spirit. Shanaz, Sangu, so special to have you here. Thank you so much for making the time to be here. And
Pleasure.
in MR of Spirit, let's start with you, Shanaz. How are you coming back home?
With so much gratitude and joy and appreciation and inspiration. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, Judy and Sangu and all of you. And at a time when the world is thoroughly chaotic, completely volatile, uncertain and full of leaders who constantly disappoint us, I'm counting on you to lead the way. So thank you for inviting me, and so excited to be here.
Fantastic. Sangu, how about you?
I feel great. Mostly because I napped. You know, I was in DC on Wednesday. Took a red eye, landed in Accra Thursday morning, was in Accra for 10 hours, and then took a red eye to get here. So once I napped, I feel amazing. And I love Cape Town, love South Africa, love Cape Town. The driver, as she was taking me to the hotel, was asking me, is this your first time here? I said, my first time here. I said, if I call someone in Cape Town and they don't respond, I'm like, I need to go check on them. Yeah. Any excuse to come to Cape Town. This is one of my favorite places in the world. And I want to echo what my colleague just said. It's, you know, in spite of how busy and crazy my schedule is, part of why I love doing this and why I always make time for this is I actually get more out of it than I give to it, because it gives me so much hope, so much inspiration, and it just makes me, because sometimes it can be a bit depressing, eh? Mm. You look at the news, you're just like, what is going on? Especially the American news, but we won't go there. And then I just read these applications and I see what young people are doing, and I'm just like, you know what? We're gonna be okay.
That's right. The kids are all right, eh?
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining in this conversation. And really for me, it's quite exciting to sit with the two of you. I mean, Sangu, now you've been part of the Anit Prize for 5 years and now being the chair of it, and Shanaz having you join recently. I think given the context of the world, and as you both are alluding to, sort of some of the cynicism and the despair that we might feel, how might we also tap into the light? And so part of this conversation is to think a little bit more about entrepreneurship and also intrapreneurship in Africa, and how we might think about driving impact within and beyond. So I'd love to perhaps kick off with, Sangu, you are someone who's spoken quite sort of fervently about Africa's potential as the last frontier for entrepreneurship. So from your perspective then, I'm very curious about what do you see as the unique opportunities that African entrepreneurs can tap into, both in terms of building businesses that are trying to make profit, because, I mean, guys, also at the end of the day, bread and butter, but also that think about purpose. And what sectors excite you the most right now?
Thank you. So, when I talk about Africa being the last frontier, I don't mean it in this romanticized kumbaya way. I mean it seriously, given that we have the youngest population in the world. We're at 1.4 billion today. 25 years, less than 25 years, we're going to be at 2.5 billion. At the end of the century, there are going to be 10 billion people in the world, per demographic projections. 4 billion in Africa, 4 billion in Asia, 1 billion in Europe, 1 billion in the Americas. And even in Europe and the Americas, we're going to be there. Right? So, we're clearly going to be the future, and the future of the world is going to depend on us. We also continue to have the largest natural resources in the world, and especially a lot of the resources that are critical to the future technologies of the world. Now, how we manage that is a whole different conversation. Now, when it comes to this issue about profit and purpose, so the first thing I want to do is to unapologetically and defiantly defend profit. And here's why. From an impact perspective, if there's anything we've learned in this last 9 months, we've learned that you cannot depend on others. The shutdown of USAID, there were tens of thousands of organizations that overnight collapsed. So now imagine if you set up, this is why at CarePoint, I was very, very, very fervent about making sure that our models were profitable. Because imagine if you're in a rural setting, you're using donor funding, USAID funding, and you're the only point of care. Now the money has cut, what do they do? Right? So I actually think that from a sustainability perspective, if you do not have a profitable or a sustainable model, you put the people you serve at risk. So profit and purpose, for me also, Africa is like, I don't see how you can not have purpose if you're doing work here, just given the unmet needs that we have. Where do they converge, to your question about sectors? Some of the areas that they converge are some of the areas that we have the biggest challenges. Healthcare, financial services and inclusion, climate and clean tech, which is a big, climate is a big issue. We don't talk enough about it. We contribute to the least emissions in the world, and we're the most disproportionately affected. So these are and of course, agriculture. These are some of the sectors that I think there's a huge opportunity to meet the needs of the continent, and at the same time, a huge opportunity to actually build resilient, profitable models. And as I say that, I see my friend Dalu over here, also a Rhodes Scholar, and he's doing some amazing stuff in financial inclusion, and I'm proud to be an investor in his business.
Beautiful, wonderful. So much richness in there. I'm just like, we need like 2 hours for this, you know? So, Shanaz, I'm quite curious. I mean, there's this sort of principle around entrepreneurship, right? Which is someone is starting a business from the ground and all the hustle of it. But I think there's been an evolving sort of concept around intrapreneurship. How do we also think about innovation within existing organizations? And I'm quite curious about some lessons you've learned as someone who stepped into some big corporate and health sector institutions, and what that might have sort of taught you about what could be useful for entrepreneurs in Africa.
Absolutely. So I'm a Cape Town girl,
Aye.
Cape Flats,
Cape
right
Flats.
on the other side.
Shanaz Optica.
But now I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley, literally within 20 miles of Google, Facebook, Meta, Gilead, Genentech, and I would say it's where the heartbeat of entrepreneurship in tech and biotech started, which is truly amazing. But we also have had the great fortune of having a capital infrastructure to be able to enable some of the most amazing innovation in the world to thrive, which is a great privilege. And then when those companies became more matured, they had the good fortune to throw some resources at highly talented people and create skunkworks that then gave rise to what you and I know as Gmail, as the like button on Facebook, as Rituxan, the first antibody in the world for the treatment of cancer. So this model of entrepreneurship gives rise to intrapreneurship, and intrapreneurship, by the way, gives rise to entrepreneurship too. It's a two-way street, but it can only happen when the environment is enabled, the resources exist, and the culture is there to decide that this is a priority, which unfortunately isn't always the case. So in Africa, in the African context, in the South African context, there's plenty of unmet need, there's plenty of willingness, there's plenty of talent, but the big gap sometimes is around capital needs and infrastructure. And this is where I think the intrapreneurship piece within corporate, within big organizations can really flourish. But it has to be something that talented individuals, that those with a spirit for it, advocate for. Because it's not going to happen on its own. And yes, we say that culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's true, but a leader has to have the intention and the mindset to make intrapreneurship a part of the culture and to create space in the budget for skunkworks projects to happen. And that's where I think we need to do more. And by the way, ladies, I see our guy friends advocating for money for projects all the time. And this is another place where I think we need to step up and ask for a seat at the intrapreneurship table. And I can tell you, it is so much easier.
Let's go.
So much easier for me as a leader to give you the resources when there's a budget line item for it. So much harder to do when we have to campaign for resources from the start. This is the way that practical innovation can happen here, but we need to be on it.
Love it. Shanaz, I mean, in a sense, you're talking about there's an intentionality around what intrapreneurship would sort of, how it thrives in the system. And I've been talking a lot about this with some of my mommy friends, and how as women, talking about money feels like an awkward thing. Just in your house, you're just like, hey, yeah, budget. I mean, play dates, the ones that want to go there, but at work and the innovations you want to bring. So I really like that. And I think it leads us quite nicely, actually, to Sangu, a question I wanted to ask you about. on the continent, we have these deep socioeconomic inequalities, right? And how then do entrepreneurs on the continent think about commercially viable businesses that can deliver really impactful sort of outputs at scale within the context of the complexities that we're facing, right?
Before I get to that, a quick comment on what Shana said, which I think is so important. What she said about what you can do within existing organizations and companies. The reason I say that is sometimes we over-romanticize entrepreneurship, right? Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. I literally get over 20,000 pitch decks at my venture capital firm, and I can tell you with confidence, a lot of y'all should not be entrepreneurs. Right. But there's this like romanticized idea of everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. No, a lot of you also just actually need to just help grow businesses that already exist to be bigger, to hire more people, and to have great impact. So
know your lane, it sounds
know your
like.
lane, and don't feel like, oh, I am, I'm gonna just join this already existing organization. Some of these organizations have had some of the most incredible impact because of people inside who have caused certain sorts of innovations and interesting things to happen. Now to your question on commercial viability. So it's what we ask ourselves all the time when we're choosing to invest, right? Of the 20,000, whatever, how do you skim through to figure out what's worth investing? The first question I always ask, so anytime I meet entrepreneurs and, the first thing a lot of times they'll do is pull out the pitch deck. I'm like, put that down. I actually never look at a pitch deck when I'm evaluating an entrepreneur. I never do. I don't want to look at your pitch deck. I want to have a conversation. And the first question I ask you, what problem are you solving? Because you can go to Silicon Valley and you can build an app to decide which BA you want to, and you will raise $5 million because there's a lot of capital. In our context where there's already limited capital and where funding flows can be tricky, what problem are you solving? That's the first question I ask. So you tell me I'm solving XYZ problem. The next question is, what solution already exists? Right? There has to be something. Even if it's not a great solution, there has to be something. The next question then is, what's special about your idea? What is your idea or your solution doing that no one else can do? Right? Why is yours better? The next question then is, well, what is your moat or your competitive edge? What's going to prevent you from coming up with this brilliant solution and Lita gets up and says, I have money, I'm just going to replicate it? Right? So what is your moat, your competitive moat? And then we have that squared up, then it's like, okay, you're solving a real problem, you have a great solution, it's differentiated, it's protected, maybe you have IP or whatever it is that you have. Who wants it? You could have a great solution and you could answer all of those questions and there are just 17 and a half people in Cape Town who want it. The half person is undecisive. So that's your addressable market. And there's nothing I hate more than when people are pitching and they tell me, oh, we have 1.4 billion Africans and 300 million. No, that's not it. That already tells me you don't know your business model. Exactly. Right? It's like, who is going to buy your product? Then related with that, can they afford your product? And when you've answered those questions, then you're now going to delve into, well, how much is it going to be to produce this product or service? And the thing with scaling, the interesting thing about our market is there's almost of a weird phenomena where because of the infrastructure gaps and all these issues, there's what I call a diseconomy of scale. before we get to the economies of scale. So traditionally, the more you scale up, the more margins and everything else looks great, right? If you're selling a product and you sell one, your salary is the same thing. You sell 2, you sell 3, you sell 10, it goes up. In our market, as you start to scale, the problems compound. So you need to start hiring even more people to solve those problems until you reach a certain level of scale, then you start to enjoy the benefits of scale. So that's the other key thing also, is to make sure that you know the market, you understand the market, and you're able to design solutions that can deal with the many issues that we have, which I wouldn't get into because we would not have time for wine.
Beautiful, I love that. So you're speaking about markets, right? And I guess we have to think about the systems view on these questions. We have the African Free Trade Agreement that has been put in place that's trying to think about African integration. So how do you sort of reflect on systemic implications around entrepreneurial environments and innovation? Because how, for example, does the African Free Trade Agreement look like on the continent, and what does that allow for entrepreneurs? But even in your experience being in Silicon Valley in the US, thinking about laws and governance and how those impact the ability for us to be free and be clear on what the market we're trying to reach. So I'm quite curious about that, just riffing off what Sangu was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Judy, I see in these cohorts amazing self-aware leaders who have incredible potential, amazing technical chops, the ability to think about markets really clearly, define unmet needs. It's all around us. In some ways, the unmet needs in Africa don't need to be explicitly, it's all around us, everywhere we look. But I think what's sometimes missing is this ability to capitalize on global infrastructure, sources and access to capital, the kinds of partnerships that are truly going to move the needle, because we've created business synergies between the thing we're trying to sell here, and I'm looking at Kene and Mozisha and Mozark and an AI, jobs platform, which is a great example of something that sort of bridges the divide to find these points of interconnectivity to enable us to forge partnerships that are not just regional, but global in nature, because that's when the scaling problem that Sangu so eloquently articulated can be circumvented, because you're finding synergies in markets that have growth trajectories and an infrastructure to be able to support these products and to diversify risk. So one of the most important things to think about is, risk versus reward. There are a lot of externalities when it comes to operating in developing country markets that are just really, really hard for a single entrepreneur to solve. And one of the key things we can do is try and diversify that risk by creating partnerships with solid partners that can ensure the sustainability that we need, the diversification, again, with risk. And Sangu's doing a great job of this with his businesses. But that's the sort of global network we need to tap into. It was one of the things I did very successfully at Gilead when we signed these deals with Indian generic companies to create democratization to tech transfer that then enabled us to treat not just 30,000 but 30 million patients in the developing world with our HIV treatments.
Come on.
And we did that.
And I'm giving little sneaky links here. We have an in-depth 1-hour podcast with Shanaz where she really shares a lot more on this that's going to come out in the next month. So this is the stuff. I mean, she's not going to toot her own horn, so, let me be here to do that. But during the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in South Africa, and Shanaz really being, just, I think, like luck, fortune, universe all together, right? That you had that experience of being a doctor, working in Valcom, and then being at Gilead, and then creating this incredible partnership, you know, that would allow for access to 30 million people having, guys, this is insane. This is who we're with.
This is
Come on. Hey.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'd love for us to forge more deals like this, where we find purpose in our common and shared humanity. We drive toward profit, which is useful to all, but we create access to opportunities for as many people as possible, and it is possible.
Beautiful. Let's go. So, I mean, it's probably an interesting place to pick your brain a little bit on this, because, you know, access to capital, right? People complain, capital is a barrier in Africa. Entrepreneurs are there, there's so much talent. We want to make impact, but I guess the question is the problem a lack of innovative financing models? Is the problem a lack of partnerships that can, to Shanaz's point, really shift the needle? And how do we really think about, you know, where's that access point where we can really unlock investment that can shift the needle?
So 3 things I'll say there. The first is, if you go back to what Shana said earlier, right, about Silicon Valley and what makes that ecosystem great is the combination of, there's academia, right, there's capital, there's the entrepreneurs, there's all of that brought together to create an ecosystem, right? The venture capital firms and the venture capital supply of capital in Silicon Valley is not by accident. It's by intentionality. US pension funds have allocated capital to venture, right? And pension funds have a long time horizon. So they've allocated a lot of capital to venture, which has now allowed for so many venture firms and local fund managers. They've also designed policy to enable this. There is part of why, have you ever wondered why even a lot of African startups all happen to be incorporated in Delaware? Tell you why. I make most of the companies we invest in incorporate in Delaware because there's a provision in the US IRS tax code called QSBS, Qualified Small Business Stock, which basically says if you invest in a startup and you hold it for 5 years, you can, up to like $50 million, you don't pay taxes, right? Think about the implications of that. It means that you could have a business from South Africa with the exact same or even better numbers than a business in the US. And just because of that policy change, in which is going to save me, the investor, $10 million in taxes. So that means you already start off with a $10 million disadvantage, right? So the first thing with respect to that is, what are we doing locally? Our pension funds, if we just said African pension funds, which, by the way, we have over $1 trillion in pension assets. If these pension funds said, we are going to allocate 5 or 10% of our capital to venture, we will create a whole new ecosystem of local fund managers who will better understand our context and who will better be able to invest and who are not going to be finicky and run away at the first sign of trouble. Because currently, only 20% of venture flows in Africa come from African firms. 20%. That leads me to the second problem. Because 80% of our venture flows come from outside Africa, of which, out of that 60% comes from North America. Majority of that is Shanaz's neighbors.
Ooh, it's getting spicy. Yeah.
I have
And-
coffee with them all the time. You know, Mark Zuckerberg is on direct dial. No worries.
How's it, Mark?
And so the problem is they bring some of the biases there to bear here. Africa has the highest rate of female entrepreneurship in the world. In countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia, and others, the rate of women entrepreneurship outpaces that of men. Yet how does it make sense that of all the venture dollars in Africa, women don't even account for 3%? How does it make sense? My PhD was literally focused on trying to understand this question. It was focused on female tech entrepreneurs. And one of the big insights I realized was the game is rigged. Because venture and investing revolves around trust. You have all this 20,000, you want to validate it through trust. And there's this concept of homophily, which basically means that if you go to Silicon Valley today, there's actually something that's researchers show, the HMS factor, Harvard, MIT, Stanford. That's the vast majority of venture capitalists. And they're overwhelmingly male. Overwhelmingly. I mean, you will think you're in a soccer club, right? And so what ends up happening is the bro phenomena, where you're looking for something, you're going to call, hey, bro, do you know this company? And, hey, I'm looking to invest in this. Can you recommend ABC? And they're more likely to recommend people in their circle which happen to also be boys. So it reproduces itself. So it's not like the guy goes out and says, I only want to invest in men. But because he's not paying attention to the way the design of the whole process ends up reproducing that inequality. And then even the way certain things are perceived, right? If a guy comes out, and there's so much research on this, if a guy comes out and is given his pitch and all of that, it's like, yeah, charisma, confidence. A woman who do the same pitch and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
She's a lot.
Like, what's going on?
Very-
And but it's very, very real. And so this creates a problem where it's not just about capital, which point number one is trying to address, but it's also about who gets funded and who doesn't, right? And I say this, hands up, guilty, because I went to Harvard and Oxford and I'm a part of all these networks, there's a privilege embedded in there. If you actually unpack who is getting dollars, the vast majority of people who are getting dollars are all people who have had this kind of global, the cultural capital, I call it. We know how to speak the language. We know how to play the game. We're in Geneva, hobnobbing with the other YGLs. We know art. It sounds silly, but it's like I meet the venture capitalist and I can talk to him about Jean-Michel Basquiat, and we're connecting. But these are some of the ways in which gatekeeping occurs. Which brings me to the final point, number 3. So number 1, remember, we need more local capital. Number 2, the gender issue, who gets funded, who doesn't get funded. And number 3 for me is how do we redesign how we think about funding, especially when it comes to impact, right? Because the model of venture, which is grow, doesn't work for our continent in the same way, and especially doesn't work sometimes for impact, because you kind of need a bit more patient capital. So one of the models my foundation works in Nandom, which is in the Upper West region, poorest region in Ghana, poverty rate of 71%. We wanted to support entrepreneurs, and we said, okay, how do we come up with a model for funding that works? And what we did instead was to say that if I just give the entrepreneurs money directly, it creates a number of issues. One is it limits how much I can give, right? If I only have $100 and I'm given $10, I can only do 10. But how do I take that same $100 and think of how it can be catalytic? So we did a partnership with the Rural Bank, where we told them that, look, we want you to give capital to entrepreneurs. What we're going to do is the money that we were going to use to give to them, we're going to use it to de-risk your opportunity to give capital. So we'll cover first loss, or if the interest rate, which is like 30%, I mean, what are you selling, cocaine? How do you pay 30% interest rate? Right?
Hey, don't come for my daddy Pablo Escobar.
No, seriously, 30% interest rates. It's ridiculous. So we said, look, let them pay 10%. We will cover that 20%. So that alone means we can 5x the number of people getting funded. So to sum up, 1, local capital. 2, who gets funded and who doesn't, women and people without the same sort of privilege. And 3, innovative models where you can blend philanthropic capital with commercial capital to de-risk it, to catalyze more entrepreneurs getting money.
Beautiful.
Great.
Hey.
I'm going to have to
Wanna
riff
come
on
in?
that. I'm going
Let's
to have
go.
to riff on that.
Come
so,
back,
Sangu,
come back.
thank you for stating all of that so plainly, and I totally agree. So I am a female entrepreneur that's raised just over 400 million for my company in 3 years.
Dollars, eh? Dollars.
In
Africa
Silicon
dollars.
Valley,
Dollars.
competing with the tech bros. And let me tell you how that's done. So
Let's
the
go.
first thing is, if you have a story backed by a value proposition that you can tell in a compelling way, then people will listen. Whether or not they give you the capital at the end of the day, maybe a secondary consideration, but you get a foot in the door. A well-formed business plan with clearly defined milestones, an ROI, and a business plan that makes sense is something that most venture capitalists will be willing to listen to. Secondly, us female CEOs in the Valley, we got organized. We formed the Biotech CEO Sisterhood, which is comprised of 400 female CEOs that run companies from seed stage all the way to multi-billion-dollar enterprises. And we said, you know what? We're going to extend the political, financial, and social capital that we've amassed on behalf of each other. So what happened? What happened?
It's giving
in my-
Stockfell.
What happened?
Stockfell in Silicon Valley.
Yes, how it happened. My Series B, which should have been maybe a $30 million round, became a $100 million oversubscribed round because my friend Sheila, who sold her company for $4 billion to a big pharmaceutical company, said, you don't just want to put 20 million into Shanaz's company, you want to put in 50 million. Because just like you believe in me, I believe in her. And if you believe in me, you should believe in her and double down. So this is how we amplify our wins on behalf of each other. Number 2. Number 3, you got to learn how to play the game. And that is a function, as Sangu has said, of not just being smart, being good, being strategic, but it's about forming alliances about points of interconnectivity. Go to the right conferences. By golly, learn to play golf if you have to. You know, the last corporate retreat I was on, I did skeet shooting. I didn't know how to spell skeet. But I was shooting those damn clays with the boys and having a good time and having a great laugh. So sometimes I think we got to get beyond this idea that this is just about gender stereotyping. Yes, of course that's there. But it's also about culture and experience and relating to each other and creating those points of social connectivity that bleed over into discussions around financing, around trust, around who to back on and why, around why you should feel good about taking a chance on someone. And you can do that too. Hey.
Wasn't it, I think it was of blessed memory, RGB, who said, even though Justice Scalia, also of blessed memory, was the complete opposite of her on the political aisle, they bonded over shooting.
Exactly. An
Yeah.
opera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, I mean, in a sense, it speaks to the Mandela Rhodes dichotomy, right? We live in a world where we are constantly faced with two realities existing at the same time. And I think as scholars and alumni in the room, you know, that's what we try to inculcate and cultivate in the program. How do you sit with yourself, with your light and your shadow? And how do you understand that at a technical level in the fields you're in, and recognizing that, yeah, you can go, I don't like that I have to go and play golf, but maybe you play golf and then they are surprised, like you chatting about my kid, oh, I've got a 6-year-old, and you know, so there's something there about sort of cultural shifts that you're speaking to.
And golf is amazing. I don't like this golf slander. This golf slander.
No. Listen, I mean, like...
We'll fight, oh.
No, listen. My brother, listen, I'm not gonna lie, I did get like a 1-hole-in-1 at China's outside. It was one so, but China's outside, I got it, but like, and then my golf clubs got stolen. You know, reality anyway. But yeah, I mean, so it's a both end. It's a both end. It's like, on the one hand, how do we like step into what is there, but also who are we and how do we sort of assert our agency, right?
And now we know what I'm getting her for her next birthday.
My next birthday is 6th December and I'm turning 40. Hello. So those golf clubs must come correct, eh?
I thought you were turning 31.
Eh? We're trying to do that black don't crack. Fantastic. Well, Sangu Shanaz, so fantastic to be in conversation with you. And I mean, so many more questions we would love to delve into. But the one thing I want to say is I really appreciate both of you in terms of your authenticity. You really represent what Mandela, I think, as a global statement was. He was an African who also saw the importance of bringing African voices to the global stage, and both of you do that so beautifully, with such humility, with such grace, and also the vibes. Sangu Shanaz, everyone.
No. Oh,
Thank you.
you're the best.
Yes, that was amazing.
Phakamani bantwana besizwe simnyama, ixesha lisondele, uxanduva lolwenu. Phakamani bantwana besizwe simnyama.
Thank you, Judy, Sango, and Shanaz. They deserve another round of applause. What an incredibly juicy conversation. Oh, so many thoughts. I think my highlights would be, just thinking about that Mandela Rhodes dichotomy, showing up in our Africanness and all that we have to bring, recognizing the game that we have to play, and to tap into that social network, right? The power of social networks has been proven over and over again. It's like we have to own it, even when we feel like we don't belong in the room. And I certainly, as a Mandela Rhodes scholar, have that little bit of extra confidence, So I think we should all remember that as alumni of Rhodes and Mandela Rhodes. Now we are going to move on to leading up to the main event. We've got 1-minute pitch videos from the 4 finalists, which will give you a sense of each of their projects. So our first finalist, Kenechukwu Ekubaka, a fellow 2040 Mandela Rhodes scholar. Whoop, whoop! From Nigeria, with his venture Muzisha, is in the education impact area. The venture is building Africa's leading talent development engine, equipping young people with future-ready and AI-ready skills through immersive training, structured mentorship, industry-aligned apprenticeships, and direct pathways to meaningful careers. Let's take a look.
Youth unemployment is a major crisis across Africa today, with rates as high as 40% in many countries. Traditional education has failed to prepare young people for work, and with AI transforming the labor market, the gap is only widening. That's why I founded Mozisha, to bridge education and employment through training, mentorship, apprenticeship, and job placement. Our model is different. Instead of classrooms alone, we place young Africans in real work environments where they acquire work experience and industry-relevant skills. The impact is clear. Over 85% of our graduates secure jobs within a year. Now, we are scaling with Mosaic, Africa's first AI-powered career ecosystem, guiding learners from inspiration to employment. With the ANIT Prize, we will empower 1 million young Africans by 2030, ensuring that they don't just survive, but lead in the age of AI.
Our second finalist is Fama Jallo, a 2023 Mandela Rhodes Scholar from the Gambia. Her venture, Hasia, is in the climate change impact area. Hasia delivers real-time environmental intelligence via AI, IoT, drones, and satellites, empowering Africa's vulnerable communities with climate resilience, food security, and climate finance access. Let's hear from Fama. Oh. What happened to the sound? No sound.
The environmental data needed
start
to
from the top, guys?
My name is Fama Jallo, CEO and co-founder of Hasia. Climate change is hitting Africa hardest. Yet, our communities lack the environmental data needed to prepare and adapt. While the whole world talks about climate action, African farmers face droughts with no warning. Communities are experiencing floods with no preparation. And supply chains are collapsing due to the lack of prediction. At Hasia, we're changing this. We're building Africa's first hyper-localized climate intelligence platform, designed for African realities. We're not just using existing satellite data, we are building our own infrastructure at Hasia to ensure African communities get the precise environmental data they need. Our AI analytic platform, Akili, integrates satellite data, IoT, and local knowledge to provide early warning, agricultural insight, and resilience planning. We are further partnering with African universities to build local capacity and ensure our solutions are grounded in the African continent's reality. Take a second. This is not just about another tech venture. This is about survival and prosperity for over 1.4 billion Africans. We are building the climate infrastructure Africa truly needs, by Africans, for Africa. If we don't do this work, no one else will do it for us. So please join me in building Africa's climate future. Thank you. My name is Ham.
Our third finalist, Nsaku Mbigwa, a 2018 Mandela Rhodes Scholar from South Africa. His venture, Jonga, is in the technology and data impact area. Jonga protects South Africa's township businesses with an affordable, community-driven smart alarm system, reducing crime risks, empowering entrepreneurs, and fostering safer, more resilient local economies. Let's take a look.
In 2016, after my aunt's home in the township were broken into, this painful moment inspired us to pursue one mission: to democratize access to affordable yet effective security in vulnerable communities. After 7 years of building, we had to pause due to COVID and other external market forces. But today we're making a comeback. And this time we're focusing on township-based small businesses where crime directly impacts their livelihood and their growth. And with the proliferation of wireless connectivity in townships, advancements in AI, improvements in payment infrastructure and response networks, we're now refining our product offering. We're introducing a wireless motion sensor with a built-in camera and fire sensor. And all of this is managed via an AI-enabled WhatsApp chatbot. Our monitoring and response service also connects our users to the nearest armed vehicle to their shop's location within 10 minutes, anywhere, at any time.
Sunday Ochai, a 2019 Mandela Rhodes Scholar from Nigeria. Sunday's venture, EduRise, is in the education impact area. EduRise delivers accelerated education, caregiver microenterprise support, mental health support, and psychosocial health healing to conflict-affected Nigerian children fighting poverty. Restore dignity and build resilient communities. Let's hear from Sunday.
I'm Sunday Ochai from Impact Hub, and we are building EduRise, an integrated education model. Nigeria has 18.3 million out-of-school children, and most of which live in conflict zones. I was one of them. Conflict, poverty, and period poverty often push children out of school, and traditional methods address one problem at a time, and they often fail. And that is why EduRise delivers 4 solutions in one: accelerated learning to recover lost school days, menstrual health support to keep girls in school, caregiver microenterprise to ease household pressure, and psychosocial support to ease trauma. We will be serving 800 kids this year and promising 85% retention rate, 2 to 4 grade level gains. With government support as well as that of the community, we can reach 10,000 kids in 5 years. Education is the only inheritance that these children will ever receive. No nation thrives leaving its children behind. Join us in this initiative.
Whoop, whoop. Our judges had a tough choice, right? Such an incredible array of ventures, and as is the case every year, just from all different sectors, as we can see. So we just want to thank all of you for your tireless contributions towards the positive development of our continent. Thank you. So when our 4 UNIT Prize finalists were announced a little while ago online, we asked our online community to vote for their favorite venture. This is known as the Audience Choice Award, and the venture with the most public votes wins $1,000. So, dun dun dun, drum roll! And the winner of the Audience Choice Award 2025 is Sunday Ochai. Woo! Whoop, 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 whoop. Come up, my brother. Congratulations. Wait, stay for a photo. Even with heels on. Well done, Sunday. Okay, there's still more excitement to come. All right. We are now at the point in the evening, which has become tradition at the ceremony, where the 4 finalists each get a chance to ask our judges a question. So there is a roving mic at each of the tables. So finalists, please find the mic. Judges, you will also have the mic that you can use at the table. Just a reminder that each finalist, you have 60 seconds to give a short synopsis of your venture and 30 seconds to ask your question. Please remember to find the judge in the room and look at them when you ask the question. And then judges, you can just answer directly after that. Each judge has a maximum of 4 minutes in which to respond. Right, let's get started. Kene, you are up first. Woo!
It's on. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
there we go.
Where is he? Okay. Good day, Dr. Sangu. It is an honor to meet you today. My name is Dr. Kenechukwu, and I run Mozisha. We are revolutionizing how young Africans access in-demand skills, work experience, and meaningful careers by leveraging the power of artificial intelligence. Sir, you have invested in and helped shape initiatives across healthcare, education, and technology in Africa. From my own experience, education startups often struggle to attract the same kind of investment as fintech and healthcare. Yet, we all know the pivotal role of education in our efforts to transform the continent. So my question is, what advice would you give to founders building in this space to make education more attractive to both local and foreign investors?
Thank you for that question. So the answer I'm going to give you is one that is in some ways going to be a bit atypical, right? So, and there's a reason why. So I could easily tell you, do this about your business model and do X and do Y. But there are three things that I'm going to share. The first is courage. Courage to be able to do difficult and innovative things. If you look at most of the great innovations, right? Andela, which we invested in, which now is a unicorn worth over $1 billion, there was real courage. They dared to dream a very big dream, right? To say, this is the vision we have for how we're going to transform it. A lot of the individual things I spoke about on stage, so I'm not going to delve into that. But the first thing to me that really stands out, especially in that sector, is courage. And courage is so important today. You know, I serve on the board of overseers at Harvard. And when we first faced the big challenge with the current administration, it was a moment of test for us around, do you succumb? It's very difficult going up against any government, let alone the US government. And it really became a point of having moral courage to be able to stand up and say, we're going to fight for what's right. And it's that same sort of courage that sometimes we don't appreciate as important in entrepreneurship. But the courage to come out and say, I'm going to solve this problem. Sure. The second thing, resilience. Okay? The problems are there. I'll tell you, on Monday, I was at the University of Delaware. I was given the lecture for the Babatunde Oguneke Memorial Lecture. Professor Babatunde Oguneke of blessed memory, before he became chair of the Department of Engineering at the University of Delaware, was a young professor at the University of Lagos. At a time where there was no budget, no money, no textbooks. No textbooks. Some of the other professors, despair, walked out, said, how am I going to teach students with no textbook? The young Professor Tunde, and I have a copy of this book. I wish I had brought it. Hand wrote a textbook. Literally hand wrote a textbook on chemical engineering. And then made copies to give to his students. And when I heard that story, and I knew the man, I still have goosebumps when I think about it. So imagine, faced with no money, no books, he said, I'm not going to let that stop me from teaching my students. I will write it by hand, literally, to ensure that they learn. So every time you face a challenge, I want you to remember young Professor Tunde and handwrite that textbook if you have to solve the problem. And the last thing I'm going to tell you, integrity. Okay? As you're going about, your work is about impact, right? But I'll tell you that impact without integrity is a facade. Okay? And integrity without impact is charity. So you mirror all of these things together, and you keep in mind that you're not building a company, you're building an institution. And one that if you marry that vision with execution and values, it will be an institution that will stand the test of time.
Ooh. Thank you. Sure, we still have another 3 to go. Okay. recover from my goosebumps. Sunday, you're up next. Your question is for Shanaz. I think it is on. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Suleiman. I am Sunday Ochai from Nigeria, CEO of Impact Hub and the driver of the EduRise initiative. You agree with me that Africa risks being left behind in the next wave of innovation, not for lack of talent, but because millions of children remain out of school. In Nigeria alone, 1 in 5 of the world's out-of-school children face this reality. Through EduRise, we are building a low-tech, context-specific, cost-effective, and community-owned model that restores access, keeps children in school, builds sustainability by enabling families and communities to carry the system forward even when funding is scarce. Now, from your journey from the Cape Flats to becoming a global player, it shows the power of resilience, but even most importantly, the value of building sustainable pipelines. In today's dwindling funding landscape, what must organizations like ours do differently to first ensure access, but also build sustainable pipelines, so the next generation is not only educated, but equipped to lead and drive global innovations, just as you're doing?
Thank you, Sunday. It's a great question, and what you're doing at EduRise is really inspiring, as is what all of the fellow Honored Prize applicants are. I like to think that the more you suffer, the deeper you feel, the greater empathy you have, true empathy. And you know what? Don't be one of those people that waste a good crisis. Truly, because when you see and when you feel, and for so many of us, our personal stories are so deeply connected with how we choose to spend our time and the difference we choose to make. So channeling the conviction that you have from a deep-seated place is gonna be the thing that sustains you when you face challenges. And those challenges you will face. That is a guarantee. So your question was about how to build something that can have enduring value and be sustainable. I think at a practical level, that has to do with some of the stuff I said, which is make sure you have a plan, think clearly about the risks, do what you can to mitigate the risks you're aware of, diversify your risk through partnerships, don't just depend on single sources, and have a plan that is practical, feasible, fundable, and then follow through with just excellent operational execution. And I really like what Sangu was said just about the integrity piece, because it's important to not just deliver, but to over-deliver when you can. It's important to speak truth and execute truth. It's important to drive accountability in your organization to build credibility for the long term. And that's how success begets the sustainability that we all want. Our continent is filled with stories of hopes and dreams that ultimately went nowhere. And a big part of that is because maybe we didn't have the muscle or the endurance or the discipline to build it from scratch in a way that has those elements of accountability, sustainability, long diversity, and thinking about risks and risk mitigation for the long term. So I think it's super important in a world, again, which is so chaotic, to not lose sight of our dreams. But I also think it's extremely important to think about how you can practically build and execute a plan for excellence that will endure the test of time.
Thanks so much, Shanaz. We're going to turn to Farmer now. Please go ahead and ask your question to Sangu.
Thank you. My name is Fama Jallo, and I'm from the Gambia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of HISIA, a climate intelligence platform that empowers farmers and communities through actionable insights for climate adaptation and resilience. So tonight, there's a lot of amazing young leaders in the room who might be going into spaces that Africa is normally underrepresented. What advice do you have for us, especially leading with college, when we're like the first or the only person in the room?
Thank you for the question. Great to see you virtually. I've visited the Gambia, and it has, for those who haven't visited, it literally has some of the most beautiful beaches you'll ever see. So your question, a couple of things that I'll say. I have found myself often being the only African in the room. On the Harvard board that I mentioned, since 1642, when it was founded, I'm the second African to be on that board. The first was our hero of blessed memory, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And the advice when I spoke to a lot of mentors, because I was very nervous about what do I do in that room. And the first thing is, always remember that you deserve to be there. Okay? I have a 3-year-old daughter, 3 going on 13 by her attitude. And every single day, I do an affirmation exercise with her, where I tell her, you're amazing, you're brilliant, you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're a child of God. And I do that because I feel like sometimes the world chips away at our confidence. The world tries to tell us in so many different ways that you're not enough, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not this. And the first thing is really centering and knowing that you are enough. Not because of your achievements, not because of your accomplishments, not because of your CV, but you are a child of God and you are enough. That's one. The second is in 2006, when I was in college, we had a ceremony called it was organized by the Harvard Black Men's Forum, called the Celebration of Black Women. And there was this woman who, Novartis, the pharmaceutical giant, she was the first and only, at the time, black person in the C-suite. And so we gave her the award, and we got a chance to ask her questions. And the question I asked her was, obviously she's dealt with issues of sexism, issues of racism, all of that. How has she navigated that? And I'll never forget what she told me. She said, I've dealt with all sorts of bigotry, but I don't focus on that. I focus on being so excellent that you have no choice but to deal with me. In spite of me being black, in spite of me being a woman, in spite of me being whatever it is, I resolve that I will be so excellent at what I do that you will be forced to deal with me. And that is what Shanaz did. Right? That is what she did. No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, because in the sector she's in, what she had to do to raise the capital she did meant that the excellence had to be above, way above the norm. Because you're not going to be allowed to fail forward. okay? But that's no excuse, right? We could sit around the table and we can complain all day about the issues and the challenges. But guess what? We are where we are here today because the ancestors dealt with worse and they still moved forward. If they sat around just complaining about the issues, we wouldn't be here today. And so we owe it to the next generation to say, in spite of the issues, in spite of the challenges, we are going to be so excellent that they will have no choice but to deal with us. And the third and final thing, going back to what I ended with and what Shanaz ended with, which I can't emphasize enough, is integrity. Integrity, my best way of understanding integrity is as follows. Integrity is what you do when no one is watching. Because it's easy to be all the things and all prim and proper and saying all the right things and doing all of that when there are eyes watching you. Integrity is when I put the spy cam in my daughter's room, when I've told her not to play with certain toys, and I watch to see what she's doing. Right? So that's integrity. So I because a lot of times we think of integrity in the public space or in how you act. No. Integrity is you in your bedroom. Integrity is you when no one is watching. And if you lead with integrity, if you truly lead with integrity, you will go places because people can tell.
Thank you, Sango. Nsako, please ask your question to Shanaz.
All right, first of all, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, thank you. My name is Nsako Mgiba from a humble community called Tulamahashi in Bushbuck Ridge, Mpumalanga, South Africa. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of a company called Jonga. We are a tech startup that is on a mission to create more resilient townships by democratizing access to affordable yet effective community-based security solutions with a specific focus on small businesses. Now, there's a very sad stat that says over 50% of small businesses in townships will experience one incident of crime. Of those affected, you are likely to experience about 2.4 incidents per year. And 18% of those will experience 3 or more. Now, a bit of context, township small businesses are usually not insured. So if you lose your valuable asset, that has a huge impact on your continuity and your confidence to grow and scale and ultimately employ people in your community. So, Dr. Shanaz, you've built your entire career in a very technical space. And I'm curious to understand from you, what tactics have you employed in the past when positioning and pitching your business to non-technical audiences to ensure that they understand, appreciate, but also remember what you've just said?
What a great question, and what an important question. And I think it's really important to be super aware of who your target audience is, first and foremost. And this is where kids can be super helpful. Because what we do is, as Crystal pointed out, a mouthful. Extrahepatic lipid nanoparticle delivery that enables us to go beyond the liver, beyond vaccines. Great. How many of you know what that is? But if I say, remember that COVID vaccine we all got? Well, it had a thing called mRNA, which was really the instructions to tell your body to make antibodies against the virus. And it had to be encased in a fat bubble called a lipid nanoparticle. Well, that thing is actually really important and can take all kinds of medicines and therapeutics to cells and tissues in the body where they haven't been before. And if I could tell my 10-year-old or my 15-year-old that story and she gets it, well, great. I've figured out how to tell a story. And so much of what you have to do when you pitch is to tell a compelling story about something that somebody is willing to take a chance on. And Sangu did such a good job of telling you how the investor's mind works and what they need to know and what is the core essential. But at the end of the day, a lot of great leadership is about great storytelling. And it's about figuring it out, impedance matching with your target audience, breaking it down, building it back up, saying stuff that you truly believe in, saying it with conviction and courage, not overselling it because you think someone needs to believe in a hyped up dream, but pitching it just right, which is, here's why I believe this will work. But at the same time, here are the risks. And here's what you need to know if you do this. And here is what I am going to do to ensure that I will be the best steward of your capital possible. So take the time to figure out that story, because sometimes the medium really is the message.
Wow. Thank you to the judges and the finalists for that great Q&A session. Definitely a theme of heart and character and essence in all of that, which is so aligned with the Mandela Rhodes Foundation. I know we all are waiting for the big moment, but before we get there, we have to take a minute to hear from our ANIT donor, David Cohen. So please turn your eyes to the screen. Oh, still no sound.
Hello, Rhodes Scholar. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Cohen. In 2021, we launched the ANIT Prize. Madiba had a broad dream and vision, and he wanted Mandela Rhodes Scholars to aspire for three things: education, entrepreneurial spirit, and reconciliation. Well, the scholarship has done a fantastic job in choosing over 700 excellent recipients, and that deals with the education piece. But in about 2020, Sean Johnson came to me and he said many of you scholars were brimming with ideas but lacked the resources to turn them into actual entrepreneurial plans. And that has been the dream behind the ANIT Prize, to provide some resources and recognition to let your dreams fly and become actualized. I've been delighted by the quality of participants in the ANIT program and hope to continue seeing your entrepreneurial plans flourish into transformative actions across the continent. Thank you to all the participants, organizers, volunteers, and judges. And especially tonight, I want to wish the finalists the best of luck.
So lovely to hear from David, and I'm sure he's thinking of us, even though he can't be here with us tonight. And so now we are at the moment. Judy, please come back on the stage. Whoop, whoop, it's the moment.
Team just wants me to dance all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, How has tonight been? How has tonight been? Are you feeling Africa? Are you feeling Africa? Its depth, its potential, its energy, and that is why we are here today, to really honor and reflect on what it means for us to step into our agency as Africa. And I think, as you've heard in the panel today, the world will transform as it will. And obviously in 2025, it's transforming in, what is the English word? Interesting ways. I was going to use other words that I should not use. isiXhosa maybe would have helped you a bit, a bit more expressive. But I think a big part of what we try to do at the foundation, and I hope you're feeling it tonight, is it's about inspiration, it's about empowerment, but it's also about depth and complexity. How do we understand that we are capacitating our scholars to step into a world that is both complex, uncertain, vulnerable, and ever-changing? And how do we, in our program, create the internal capacity, as we always say, and our program director, Ms. Carly Anyete, always reminds the scholars about the key quote that we use, which is, the quality of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. Okay? And so in a world in which we are dealing with ever-changing environments, AI, government, politics, etc., what do you wake up in the morning and do? Do you wake up in the morning and you get on your phone and you're looking at social media or the news, and how does that inform how you want to be in the day? Or can we maybe reframe how we want to be in the world? Because everything that we see and experience in the world is what I sort of really resonate with, which is collective consciousness. If all of us every day maybe decide, for the first hour, I'm not gonna touch my phone. I'm up. My team knows. And on Fridays, I'm like, guys, don't be a loser. Why are you sending me emails on Fridays? I tell them, like, I'm the CEO, I'm like, don't be a loser. Why are you sending me an email? I'm wrapping up the week. There's all these other 10,000 things you've sent me that I haven't dealt with in between the meetings. And now you're sending me more emails. And nah, bruh, don't be a loser. Like, stop that. Have a walk. Go to nature. Meditate, And I think, we're laughing about it, but for us to create a new world, we have to behave differently. And I think that is the inspiration that our 4 finalists really embody and are inviting us towards, which is they've come from these environments, they've experienced a real sense of connection to what's happening, and they're saying, perhaps things could be done differently. And how might I come in? And the thing that I know and trust with all 4 of them, because we do that for all our students, is you're not coming in there as an expert. Me, I have a master's, I'm a Mandela Rhodes Scholar, I'm twerking. No, you are there to help co-create with the community. Ubuntu is not just a concept that we speak about because it sounds cute. We have to embody it. And as a CEO, I must be accountable, first of all, and I hold my team accountable to that, and then we can hold our scholars accountable to that, and we can hold our alumni accountable to that. But we're also human, and we will fail, and that is the spirit of Mandela Rhodes. It's the dichotomy. It's the constant tension of what is, what isn't, and then somewhere in between the third way emerges. So a part of what these awards really mean to us is that the judges, of course, with Sangu chairing and Shanaz being part of it, Dalmuz and I and other colleagues sitting, in the previous rounds, the talent is there, it's amazing. And I think in its 5th year now of inception, we really are, Sangu, in no free lunch tomorrow, We're going to Mandela's house tomorrow to have, there's no free lunch because we have to think about how do we grow this. The talent is just there, you know, we've got to give more access. But the principles we've tried to embody as best as we can is we allow the final panel to really look at, and I mean, you saw our chair and Shanaz, I mean, the people who are sitting there really know, like, is this feasible? Is this viable? Is it commercial? Is it scalable? Can it actually make the impact? And so all of that criteria was applied to the envelopes I'm about to have. I'm just like, oh my God, Mama, I'm gonna have a little Oscar moment, you know? But the 4 finalists for us, we need to find new words. Winners, losers, it's not that. You're already here, we see you, we recognize you. And so whatever happens tonight, know that the fact that you are here right now amongst a very competitive pool of Mandela Rhodes and Rhodes Scholar alumni, by the way, just to put it out there, we believe what you're doing, and Shanaz spoke to it and Sangu spoke to it, resilience. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Last year, Chido, 4 times. We were there in the panel last year like, I got a Chido. My sister. Why are we back? What? Please, oh, you know? But that's the thing. And I think, honestly, I'm an entrepreneur. At least in the here and now, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been at the foundation for 11 years. I can clearly see the shifts and I have to push. But it's a Mandela legacy. So you're dealing with like brand issues and legacy issues and what people think about what that brand should be, how it shifts, how it doesn't. Fighting the demons with Oxford, what they thought this, you know. So intra, the demons are there. So, and the constant fighting for innovation and resources are there. Find your place in the here and now. It might change. Maybe you start off as an entrepreneur. Who knows, you know? I'm turning 40 in December. I'm not going, don't worry. I still have at least another 5-ish years before these ones that I'm trying to train here can take over. But life is here for us in its complexity, and these 4 finalists really represent the future and possibility of Africa. So, Adrian, drum roll. The moment. Okay. So I've been informed. Oh, okay. This is really an Oscar moment. Apparently, we have multiple winners this year. So the Anid Prize can afford up to 4 winners. So let's see what's happening. Alrighty. So we have winner number 1, who will receive out of the prize money $60,000 for their venture. Dr. Sunday Ochai! Eddie Rise! Come up, Sunday! Let's go. Let's fucking go, my boy. Come on. What's up? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. You did it. Let's see. You did it. Can we give Sunday a mic, please, just to say a few words? Sunday, congratulations.
Thank you.
What a moment. How are you feeling right now? What's happening for you?
So I think for me, when I went for the interview, I said something, which is that I feel like I'm holding the weight of over 20 million kids. And I was telling Coralie and Ernst just this evening, 2 weeks before this event, before the application, I didn't plan to apply. My friend was convincing me to apply, and then just exactly 2 weeks, he was going to deliver some of the interventions we do, and he was shot, and he died. And I made a commitment at that time that for him, for the kids we are trying to serve, I was going to put in this application and do my best. So if you see me emotional this evening, it's because I feel like first I have honored his legacy, but for the over 300,000 kids in Plateau State and Borno State, you now have a hope. The only inheritance I ever received from my late parents is education. And for these 300,000 kids, they now have an inheritance.
Let's go.
I want to say thank you to my lovely wife and daughter, to the Impact Hub Foundation, and to the communities. So, sorry, I need to just say this. During the voting of the Audience Choice Award, I had people that were in their 70s going online, staying till 12 midnight to vote. These are community members that we serve. And to all of these people, I want to say thank you.
Dr. Sunday, this is you. Congratulations. Come. Stand here. Congratulations. Ah. All the fields, all the fields. Right, so $60,000 is gone. So I don't know, what am I getting? It's like, most of the money's gone. Adrian, you got more envelopes. Hey, you and your envelopes. Okay. Judy, keep envelope. As Shanaz and Sangu will know, apparently as CEOs, we run things, but actually, our team just tells us what we need to do and where we need to be at any relevant time. So, and that's the sign of building a good team and culture, right? Exactly. Alrighty, so drum roll. Winner number 2, and it's a tie. So we have 2 of these. All right. Both receiving $19,000 each. Fama Jalo for Hisia and Kenachuku Ibakua for Mozisha. Yes. All right, so Fama. Unfortunately, Fama couldn't join us in person. We're able to. Hey, baby girl. Hey, girl.
Hello,
Also, FYI, this scientist of ours is a young NASA Han who's just joined in NASA, which is amazing. Fama, I have your gift. Ernst will post it, yeah? DHL, not Postnet, eh? It's not quite. Fama, a few words from you, what this means?
I can't believe this. This is a validation for me, and not just for me, but for also young Africans who dare to dream and make impact in areas that they're not seen. I wanna thank my parents for believing in me, because I come from a place where girls are not usually given education to. I want to thank the MRF for just showing me what true leadership means and for making me be comfortable with both my light and my darkness. I want to thank my friends and everyone who supports me and is cheering me on. And this is not just for me, but for everyone there and all the women in the room. Thank you so much.
Yes. I love it. And we are proud of you, my dear. We are very proud of you, Fama. Thank you so much. All right. Kenachuku, Doctor, come up, Ogao. Congratulations. I do think, I'm putting you on the spot, but when you reflect on what the chair of Anit Prize and also Dr. Shanaz shared about resilience. What does this moment mean for you, given the journey you've been through with Anit? Yeah, congratulations. So proud of you. Okay, come. I'll hold this for you now.
Sorry, I have a small speech.
It's giving Oscars. It's like, in case. They'll let them in case.
So this man here was a tiny, sickly baby born in a small town in southeastern Nigeria. So frail that my poor mother was advised to throw me away because I wouldn't get better. Yet, even then, I carried within me a seed of hope. Years later, that seed grew into a dream to build a platform of opportunities for young Africans. And that dream became Mozisha, a name inspired by the Swahili word Anzisha, which means to initiate and to take action. I have faced many unimaginable challenges. Those who know me personally know the nights of tears, the deep pain, but also the glimmer of hope that refused to die. And today, here we are. So to every young African, know this truth. Your dreams are valid, your purpose is divinely orchestrated, and your destiny shall be realized. Just don't give up. When you feel like quitting, please remember why you started. Remember the struggles of your ancestors. Remember that you are the hope of a continent that is in dire need of innovators. Just a few days ago, I watched a horrifying video of young Africans stranded in the middle of the sea, clinging to plastic tubes, fighting for life, not because they lacked potential, but because despair had driven them to risk the most horrible form of death in search of greener pastures in Europe. Sorry, I'm finishing up. Our continent, in many ways, has become a land that devours its own children. Yet you and I stand here today privileged, honored, and entrusted with responsibility. Remember that to whom much is given, much is required. So together, I believe we'll make the dreams of African youth and the great future of our continent a reality. Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. You did it. You pushed it out. Yeah. You pushed. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's just. Yeah. Yeah, we're so proud of you. You did it. And you pushed, you know. Yeah, so Kene was a scholar when I joined the foundation in 2014. He was my first cohort, you know. Him, Coralie, Crystal, you know. Yeah, so the tears are real because I've seen him, you know, in the past 11 years and how hard it's been, you know. And you've done it, you know, you've done so well. And this is just the beginning, you know. It's the beginning. And we're so proud of you. It's the beginning. And you're seeing people are stepping up, all the people that are coming through now with the work, you know. But we know, you know, all the things that Sangu and Shanaz were talking about, this is what these tears are about. This is not theoretical, guys. This is people's lives. It's people's hearts. It's people's stories, you know. It's Kene being a young teenager, being an entrepreneur, figuring out how to feed his family, you know. And being a person who's fighting for young people like he was a young person. And no one was there, and he had to dig. You know, he had to dig. Well done, my brother. Well done. Kenachukwu, everybody. Oh, fuck. Can I get a tissue? Only Mandela Roads, eh? You know, us with the tears. They know even the ones they come for applications there. In interviews, we have the box there because, you know, we go there, yeah. But we got to be real about it, you know. We can be technical and talk about the stuff, but it's only real because we are humans, you know. We got to remember that. Okay, got to collect myself. The last bit. All right, so one of the principles that we really try to embody at the foundation is how do we really recognize the efforts that people have put into the processes and the journeys. So Ntako, I'd like to invite you up as, you know, we want to make sure that you know and recognize, although of course you're not there in the winnering, but a little $1,000 nje just to, you know, a little something, you know. Ntako, my boy. So, you know, and I think the story of Jonga is very interesting, you know. And I had to manage myself during the interview process because I was just like, you know, my mom lives in Kailicha. She's a small business entrepreneur, you know, and I was just like, yes, please, Jonga for her, you know. But then having to be like, neutrality, selection criteria, whatever, you know. But what you do is really important in terms of thinking about the reality of South Africa as a middle income, sort of first world, third world, and how we think about, you know, providing safety and security. So I think, you know, as someone who's reached the stage, I want you to know we're proud of you. You've gone through a lot of lessons with Jonga, pre-COVID, during COVID, and after. And we just want to hear a little bit from you about what it means to have reached this stage and where Jonga is now, what you've learned, and how you want to take it forward.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on. How could you be sad if you have $1,000?
Drinks on you tonight.
You know, the amazing thing about gratitude is that it takes up a lot of space. It's very difficult to be grateful and upset, grateful and disappointed. So I feel grateful. That's the overwhelming feeling. Yeah. Yeah, over the past day, we've gotten to connect, and you know, before I came here, I was channeling my competitive energy. And after I spoke to the other finalists and heard what they were doing, I just felt like, you know what, every initiative here needs funding. And I'm really just so happy for you. I'm really so happy for you, and I'm really so happy for Fama as well. So the Jonga journey has been one that's been characterized by ups and downs. Some of the highlights were the incredible investors we were able to get before closing our doors the first time, one of whom is sitting in the room, Cheryl, who invested in us. And then, of course, the downs, you know, being impacted by COVID. Despite having incredible founders, amazing partners, ultimately we succumbed, and we had to close our doors. And that was extremely difficult for me because it didn't feel like I was closing down a business. It felt like I was forsaking people like my aunt, who are the reason why I started the company to begin with. I was at her home when we got broken into, and I realized the plight of a woman-headed household in the township. And ultimately, I learned that small businesses need this just as much, but the impact of crime has a reverberating effect on the community if it targets them. But I'm super thankful for the process because it's given me a lot of clarity. I love difficult application processes because they make you think really hard and deep about what you're saying, what you're doing, and what you intend to do. So that's been the gift in this. And I think I'm going to take a page from Chido's book and a page from Dr. Kinne's book.
Yes.
And we're not going to give up. So thank you so much.
Let's go! Oh boy. Let's give you, where's your, you got your thing, eh? Well done. Appreciate it. There we go. I need prize. I need prize.
Wow. Another round of applause. So that brings us to the end of the formal part of the evening. Definitely a theme of heart and grit and determination, and privilege to share in the journey with our fellow scholars. And yeah, I hope we all feel a little bit inspired to do our bit as we leave here tonight. We just want to remember the importance of initiatives like ANET. I think we can all agree we need more. Africa needs young entrepreneurs to drive innovation, create jobs, and address pressing challenges in sectors like technology, agriculture, and energy. Africa is a youthful population, and so young entrepreneurs are needed to create innovative solutions for local challenges, to drive economic growth, reduce unemployment, and lead Africa's transformation to being a key player on the global stage. Thank you once again to our generous donors, David Cohen and David and Mira Rima Foundation, for funding the ANET Prize. Without you, this just wouldn't be possible. And a huge thank you to our judges for their expertise and their time. We got a taste of it tonight, but we really, really are thankful for that. And then last but not least, thank you to all of you in the room and those of you online for joining us and being such a wonderful audience. Before I send you off, I will ask the judges and the winners and Judy to come back on the stage for photos. But as for everybody else, eat, drink, and be merry. Thank you very much.